Alright, before I get started talking about what I want to talk about in this video, I think it was like a few weeks ago, my mom sent me this card in the mail, and I kind of just wanted to share it. So, yeah. It's a light, hopefully you can actually tell what it's supposed to be, but, it's a cat in a bird cage with the cat just, like, not very happy, and the bird sitting on top of the bird cage. And the inside, I don't know, you probably can't read it because it's backwards. I don't know. But it says don't ask, and it's just like, don't ask how the cat got in the bird cage. I just thought that was kind of funny and cute. And, like, my mom knows that I like cats, so it's probably part of why she sent me that card. But it just made my day. It's just, like, looking at it, it's just, I don't know, just kind of makes me maybe feel like I'm not completely forgotten about at home, even though I don't really get to see my family all that often, or as much as I would like to. But I digress. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the fact that today is National Coming Out and Being Out Day. Personally, I'm not really sure what my identity is, like my sexual identity. But I kind of feel like, to an extent, like, we don't necessarily need labels, and it should be, like, who we like we're attracted to who we're attracted to, and that doesn't necessarily fit into society's labels and, like, the boxes that it tries to put us in. But that being said, I do support gay rights, I do support gay marriage, because to me, like, how I look at it is that it's a human right. Marriage and equality. Like, personally, I don't think that I'm gonna get married just because of my past and the fact that I've seen marriages that were just complete train wrecks and just horrible. But there are also some that can be really good. So I'm not ruling it out completely. I know one of my friends in middle school was actually, because I kept saying, like, I'm never going to get married, ever, not going to happen. She's like, I should record that and then, like, play it to you, like, on your wedding day or something like that. And I was just like, not going to happen. Now I'm kind of just like, well, I'm not necessarily planning on it, but if it happens, it happens. But, I kind of digress. Sorry, I'm getting kind of off topic a lot. But I believe that if you love someone and you want to get married and have the same rights as a heterosexual couple, you should. And just the fact that you love someone who identifies as the same sex as you and the same gender, because sex and gender are different. Sex is biologically determined, and then gender is socially constructed. That shouldn't hold you back from getting married, because there are some couples who are, like, they're same-sex couples, and they've been together for decades, and they have really strong, committed relationships. And the fact that they can't have the same rights, like, if one of them were to get hurt and the other one wouldn't be able to necessarily visit in the hospital or have a say, like, if something happened and one of the partners can't make medical decisions. Well, usually in a situation like that, if it's a heterosexual married couple, the spouse who's not hurt or sick can make those decisions. But most states, a good chunk of the states, don't recognize that for same-sex couples. And the fact that there's so much hatred and bigotry and homophobia in our society, it's disgusting, I think, personally. It's like, last time I checked, it's 2011, and what's really annoying is I live in America, and like we claim to be enlightened and superior and all this stuff, but we still are not accepting of it. And that doesn't mean that, to be accepting doesn't mean that you belong to that community and you therefore want to have the same rights. It could just be that you accept that people are going to like who they like and think that they should have the same rights and should be treated the same. And the fact that so many young people, not just young people, but especially in the media, they've been talking about the fact that, especially with the, I think last school year, there were so many, I just don't remember the number, but there's so many suicides of young people who identified as other than straight because they were bullied so much because of their sexual identity. And I think I might have said this in my video about why Don't Ask, Don't Tell, like the repeal of that was necessary, but we don't learn hatred, prejudice, all that stuff. We don't just pick it up from nowhere, out of thin air. We don't figure out who we're gonna hate by not osmosis, but just like randomly. We are influenced by society. And the fact that the media, that society as a whole isn't really comfortable with the fact that some people aren't straight, it influences kids, it influences the youth. And if they see people being made fun of and looked down upon and pretty much being outcast for not identifying as straight, then they're going to emulate that, and they're going to think that that's how it's supposed to be. And that leads to them bullying and abusing, like physically abusing kids who they think, either it's not even like if they actually are gay, it could just be that they think that they're gay or that they don't fit into the gender box. Like they're a guy, like let's say it's a guy and he likes things that are considered feminine, they'll identify that, or they'll see that as being gay because that's how our society works. That's the messages that they send out. Like if a guy is into like making sure that he looks good and like is into clothes or something like that, then he's automatically assumed to be gay. And it's just like, it frustrates me to no end because there is a difference between what you like to do, like in terms of what interests you, and who you are attracted to. Because actually I think it's sometime this week, and they might have already had it, but on my campus, like there's a large and supportive LGBT community, and they're doing October, and for October, and which they do every year. And one of the events is talking about homophobia in sports, and the fact that, actually I didn't go, so I don't know exactly what they were talking about, if it already happened, but if it didn't, I want to go. But one thing in sports that I've noticed, and I don't necessarily pay that much attention to sports, but it's that guys who are in sports are considered macho. So you don't really think, you wouldn't, based on how our society works, you wouldn't think that a man in sports is gay. But just because he likes sports doesn't mean that he can't be gay. It doesn't mean he is straight. It doesn't mean he's gay. It doesn't have anything to do with who he's physically attracted to, who he wants to be with, who he wants to go out with. It has nothing to fucking do with that. But our society has connected the two. And yeah, it's just really, really, really irritating. Or if a girl is butch or like acts like a guy, like is kind of like one of the guys, we tend to think that she's gay, that she's a dyke, she's a lesbo, all those. Like, I don't condone using those words. I'm just saying that's how society is. And it's just, I don't get exactly where that leap came from, because to me it is a leap. It's not, oh, you like something, so you like something else. It's not, they don't go together. They can, but they don't have to. And just, I don't know where that relationship came from, but there seems to be one that won't go away. Yeah. I'm kind of rambling. Sorry. But yeah, to me, it's really shocking that it's 2011 and a majority of states in the U.S. and a majority of other countries don't recognize gay marriage and don't think that people who identify as anything other than straight should have the same rights and same benefits as a married heterosexual couple. It's just like, what the heck? How does that make sense? Like, that's sending the message that, excuse me, being gay, there's something wrong with it. Like, it's less than. It makes you a second-class citizen. And we internalize that, whether we want to or not, whether we know it's right, whether we think it's right or whether we know it's wrong. It doesn't matter. If you hear something enough, you internalize it. And I think that's part of the problem, too, with the suicide rates increasing, for LGBT youth. It's because they think that there's something wrong with them because of what society is telling them, but then what their peers are telling them, and maybe even their family, like if their family is not supportive, it's just a whole, I'm trying to think of the word. It's just like everything working together to make a perfect storm. And I think it really does need to change. Really, I don't understand why people are so ignorant and so not tolerable or not tolerant of other people. And this is nothing, I'm not trying to bash religious people. I'm really honestly not. If you believe in a higher power, more power to you. But it seems like a good chunk of the people who are against gay marriage and equal rights for gays are so for the reason that they believe it's a sin or they think it's immoral. And it's just like, okay, if let's say God exists, and God created everyone and everything, why would God create, if God is a loving and all-powerful being, why would God create an imperfect being, and actually multiple of them, a lot, who are attracted to people of the same sex? It doesn't add up to me. It's just like, how the hell does that work? But yeah. And the fact that homosexuality isn't just seen in our species, it is seen in a lot of other species. Like, I don't want to say that there will be a gay gene found, because I think it is probably a combination of nature and nurture, like your environment and your genes. But I'm kind of afraid of the backlash if there is a gay gene found. Like, I know there's one episode, or at least one episode of Law and Order SVU that talks about, like, someone wanted to have an abortion, or wanted a woman to have an abortion because they apparently found out that the child was going to be born with the gay gene and was potentially going to be gay. And it's just like, I don't think that anyone should be denied the right to a life just because they may grow up to be someone that you don't dislikes, that you don't agree with, or that they might have a characteristic or part of them might be something that you don't like and you don't agree with. I just don't see that as right. I think that we should all have a chance to become who we are, and I think that we need to change society. I'm not sure how exactly, but change it so it's a whole hell of a lot more tolerant and understanding. I feel like it has gotten better in some ways, like in the fact that just LGBT, like the community and its issues, are a lot more out in the open and talked about freely than they were in like sorry, in like the 1800s. Well, or so I've been told, because I wasn't actually alive in the 1800s. So yeah, it's like I feel like we have made progress, but there's a lot that needs to be done still. So yeah. All right. Trying to think of how to wrap this up. Sorry, I'm just kind of like a rambling mess right now. At least I'm not crying. But yeah. So I think that we all just need to be who we are and work on being at peace with who we are and not feeling like there's a part of us that we need to change, that there's something fundamentally wrong with us. When we, like, I personally don't think that who you're attracted to is a choice. I think that you can either, I think the choice comes in that you can either try to ignore who you're attracted to, or you can choose to accept it and like follow through on your attraction if that's something that you're interested in, having a relationship with someone. But attraction is partially emotional and partially physical. We can't exactly control it. And I think most people have been attracted to someone they know isn't good for them, and telling yourself that that person isn't good for you, there's bad news and all that stuff, it doesn't really help. You can't just stop feeling that way. Alright, so yeah. If anyone wants to talk about any of this anymore, hopefully I can actually upload this video and not have to remake it. But I just want everyone to know that you're perfect the way you are, and that even if society tells you that there's something wrong with you, that doesn't mean it's true. If you like someone, if you like someone and society doesn't think that it's right, like if you're a girl and you like a girl, that's fine. If you're a boy and you like boys, that's fine. If you like both, perfectly fine. If you like someone who identifies as something other than male or female or feminine or masculine, perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just society likes to make us think that there's something wrong with us. So just remember that there are people who support you and believe in you and want you to be happy, regardless of if you're with the same sex or in a same-sex relationship or not. If you're in a heterosexual relationship, it really doesn't matter as long as you're happy and you're not hurting anyone. And actually I should clarify that. If you're hurting someone because they don't agree with it and they're being closed-minded, then it's kind of like, well, I'm happy. I'm gonna just deal with myself in my life, and kind of like, yeah, you can go somewhere else, because that really doesn't matter. Yeah, so I'm not saying like if you hurt someone because they're mad and they're frustrated and annoyed and maybe even disgusted with you, then that's their problem. But other than that, just be happy with who you are. Try to come to peace with it, come to terms, and I think life is a whole heck of a lot better if you're not struggling to change who you are. If you're at peace with who you are, it makes it a whole heck of a lot smoother. And it's not meaning that life is going to be completely smooth sailing, because then, first off, I think it would be kind of boring, and second off, nothing would change, because there would be no reason for you to change, because there would be nothing going on that would cause you to even contemplate changing. So that would be kind of pointless. Alright, hopefully I can actually upload this, because it's going on 20 and a half minutes. So take care and stay strong, everyone.